check that out. And it needs to go to there. And it should go past center. If I have to, I can kick it back a little bit. I'll show you how I made it. Okay, so I've got all my bits cut to length, these two, these, and then I've made some shims, well, spaces, to make sure that these are equal length. Double checking. I'll put marks on here to where I want these to sit. Right, so what these are doing is making sure that this edge here and this edge here are parallel. These aren't important because they're not the hinged ends. So I'm just going to tack those on there. And we'll move to step 2. Now I'm happy that these are parallel and flat to the table. Get these out of the way. Move this guy in. Make sure these are turned and that's flush. Get you to come around this side. So I'm using bolts as the hinging points. I'm just going to slip that under there. Drag that this way a little bit. Push it up against the flush. Now all these holes are parallel, perpendicular. Make sure that's all exactly where I want it. And then the tricky bit is getting tacks on these little nuts. You won't be able to see most of this because I'll be in the way. So I'll just put you over here. I'm going to round off all these, except for the outside ones. Now I'm satisfied that these are lined up. Again, it doesn't matter if this isn't parallel to this one, because I know that the hinge points are. But the closer you can get it to the center of that angle, the better. Alright. So the outside bolt head, I put lots of weld on that. You don't want to get into the threads on the inside nut. This thing is screaming hot, so I'm going to let it cool down. That's how I made hinges. Nice and simple, straightforward. you just saw, I put the glass over the hinges. Didn't really want to put this car upside down, but I got no choice. This one's still in the mould. I can't fit the boot lid while it's in the mould, unfortunately. Yeah, that's how you glass something in. Pretty good. I'll let that cure and it'll be rock solid. Oh, I got the boot lid on here, on the hinges. Unfortunately, design oversight is it won't open because it's fouling up on in here. It's just hitting there. You can force it open and it doesn't hold itself up. Miscalculations on my part. Yeah, you can run it like that. It'd be extra air cooling for the engine. It's just a bit of black paint. Yeah, so I gotta figure that out. I'm tipping it's going to be the same on this one here. My bad camera work. So yeah, you can close it. It's catching on this edge, which sucks. Unfortunately. So I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board, research some hinges. I think it's supposed to sort of come, the boot lid's supposed to come up and then tilt. Yeah, trial and error. Unfortunately, this one's glassed to the car. I can cut it out, it's just an absolute nightmare. But, them's the brakes. Other than that, it looks pretty good. Looks like a back of a Mini 32. Now I've got these hinges here. These are off the full size 32. Well, not off it, but for it. I can't see these things doing anything different. So my gap must have been too tight, I'd say. Yeah, so I might be able to flatten out those hinges a little bit and open the gap up, and hopefully that'll work. I just have to keep an eye on that when I go to put the boot lid on the other car, the one in the mould still. Alright, start quarters in here. I'm up underneath the car looking at these hinges, and you can see that this has already started its arc around. So I think the issue is that. So if I make this longer, so this is more vertical or even tilted back slightly, it will be pushed out on the when it's open, it'll be pushed out and then up. Because at the moment it's just being pulled in because it's camming around like that. So if it's out like that, it'll push it out and then up. Learning curves, you know, learn something new every day. Okay, I just cut this hinge out of the car. Done a bit of research online and found out that this is too high. So in order for the hinge to work properly, this has to be as close to the body as possible. So I'm going to cut this off and put it on a strip like this. And then I'm going to mock it up in a different body with a chopped up boot lid, so I don't have to I can just clamp it on and see what we get. Alright, I got the new lowered hinge clamped in there. The pivot points up as close to the body as I can get it. I got the defective boot lid all chopped up. And it's still doing the same thing. So I've got a gap, and it's still hitting. So I think I need a radical boot hinge redesign. So I'm going to try a few things, see what I come up with. I was just talking to a mate of mine, and he said, what if you drop the hinges down and then it might change the arc angle? So I did that, didn't work. Then I put a piece of wood underneath the boot lid to raise the boot lid from the hinge, and that works. It pushes it away. So it hits on the way down, so it's pulling it in, but it's pushing out on the way up. Okay, so the idea I had before didn't work. Doesn't matter how long you make this, doesn't matter how many bits you add, the end of it will always pivot around here, and it will always come in. I thought about trying to add another hinge here so it can, it's just getting too complicated. I've tried this on multiple different spots around this bolt, but it always pivots around the center, so it doesn't matter where this is attached. And all of my lines come in when it goes past this point. So I've had a thought, the original boot hinges are somewhat like this. Get on my drawing there. Around. So one side's attached to the body, the other side's attached to the boot with a pin. And the boot sinks into the gap. Alright, so talking about the original pin hinges and the sides here, I thought I'd flip the hinge around. Obviously I didn't leave myself enough gap, but that works. So I could potentially use these hinges. Just wouldn't have, this bit sticking out. It'd be a bit more flush than that, hopefully. But it works, Right, so I got the same hinge in there that I made previously, and the difference is I modified the boot lid slightly. Look at that. So I got rid of this lip that had a flange on it like this. I cut it off all the way along. This isn't fully cured yet, it's almost there. Yeah, stays up all by itself.